Hi, I'm Teddy Neptune, and today I'm going to look into a scene in which um, the police investigates an accident or possibly a crime in which a spotlight falls on top of an artist. Now, the scene I'm reviewing is from the show Babylon Berlin. It's the first episode of season 3. So there is some spoiler if you haven't at least watched the previous 2 seasons already. Now, I was trained as an event technician here in Germany in this century, and the scene takes place in the 1920s, 1929, I believe. Yes. So there's a time gap. Okay, I know the standards for today, what you should do, and the standards for Germany. Now, the scene does take place in Germany, of course, but still different timeline, or different time period, or different decade, um, different century too, actually. So there are things which will be different, okay? And I am going to take this into account to some degree, but I will, of course, talk from the perspective of a 21st century event technician from Berlin, Germany. And yeah, so keep that in mind, okay? And yeah, let's start with the scene.
Nichts anfassen!
Okay, yeah, you don't touch anything. I mean, he said, nichts anfassen. Don't touch anything because you don't want to tamper with the evidence. You don't want, even if it's not a crime scene, even if it's just considered an accident, you don't want um, the people investigating for errors, for mistakes, for uh, failures of the devices used. They don't want you to make it difficult to comprehend what happened by having the things moved away. Okay, it should be as close to right before the tragic event as possible. Okay, I mean, obviously you can't bring back the actress to also be there, but apart from that, everything else has to be just um, the way it should be. Okay, yeah.
Mordkommission, guten Tag.
Mord? Es war doch ein Unfall.
Da sind Sie?
Bellmann, Jo Bellmann, ich bin der Produzent. Es war doch offensichtlich ein Unfall.
Okay, a little. I don't know if it's already suspicious or so, but I would say it is a little odd that he's insistent that it is an accident. Okay, I can see maybe as a producer he doesn't want his production to be in the same news article as a murder investigation. That could be really bad for him. Okay, I get it, but I would say that unless he or someone he knows to be involved, uh, unless he is somehow trying to cover up, uh, wouldn't it be better for him to have an outsider possibly be the culprit who orchestrated this accident, rather than his people being maybe liable for someone dying, even if it's not deliberate?
Ich meine, wir alle haben es gesehen.
Um das zu klären, sind wir hier. Sie bleiben bei mir. Alle anderen warten bitte außerhalb der Dekoration.
Ah, look here, it's a nice room. Okay, so there's no actual stage like in the theater, but you have this area which seems to be somehow highlighted as something of its own. Okay, and then you have the stage, which in this case is also part of the scenery, so to speak, props, you could say, almost. And yeah, I like this. I like the way it looks. It's nice. You also saw that the room is not only spacious horizontally, but also goes vertically. You saw the one guy standing at least one level higher than the rest on this walkway with the balustrade or the railings, and taken a door outside, but the door was also on the same level as the walkway, the upper walkway, or the catwalk or whatever, although the catwalk would be going through the center. Not the one for like the models, I mean for theater or film productions, whatever. That kind of catwalk. Yeah. Here you have some luminaires. Some might say spotlights. When I say spotlight or spot, I mean those that are made for specific objects or persons to be highlighted, with a usually smaller cone of light with sharp edges. Okay, so it's more like this, rather than in this case the Fresnels going kind of just washy, but they are not called washers. Washers also exist, different type of lamp. This one, yeah, we call them Fresnels, or in German they say Fresnel, but it's spelled with an S. But it was created by a French guy who made it for light towers for the coast, for ships to see, and he used the type of lens that had this, like with car lamps, the front lamp lightings for cars, and yeah, that shape kind of breaks the light into every direction, so you have a large space. That's the whole purpose. You can use the gates, so to speak, to narrow down this area that is being illuminated, but you can't have this perfect sharp edge cone of light or whatever. Yeah, let's continue. Yeah, the head injury looks like it was not some kind of big uh, background object or whatever falling, but a lamp. I mean, it's still bad, don't get me wrong, but the head would look different if part of a stage or whatever fell on top. Um, yeah, I we had objects suspended, some of them weighing tons, plural, on stage, in an opera house where I worked. Yeah, you have a high ceiling because you have all these metal ropes that can pull up things which you would otherwise have to carry or push or roll on and off the stage. You don't want that. It's too much of a hassle, especially if you know that stuff up there is going to be used anyway. Okay, then you just suspend or lower it, whatever. Yeah.
Also, was genau ist passiert?
Yeah, this looks like, even if the object is just 20 kilos, you can still do this, from a height, the mass, the momentum of the device, bang. Yeah, it can crack the skull. Even if it doesn't get through your skull or whatever, the concussion could still break your neck. But judging from the blood, it was the skull. Yeah, and some lamps go up to like 100 kilograms or whatever. Yeah, but they, as far as I know, I never had a lamp that weighed a ton or whatever. But still, it would look different if it was a ton. So,
Fallbeispiel 16. Lebloser Körper, am frühen Morgen gefunden vom Gärtner der Familie.
okay, I'm sorry. A little context. There's this female main character, one of the main characters. The real main character is the investigator you saw earlier, who is in charge of the investigation. But the female detective, who is now being trained here, she is basically giving all the answers to the inquirers, to the teachers or whatever, the supervisors. And while she's doing that, you also get the real investigation. Okay, so she is doing a dummy investigation and telling everything that is a procedure. At the same time, you have the actual investigation going on with the lamp, and that kind of stuff is what I'm going to focus on, but I will let it play so you have some context. Yeah. But I might skip some of the parts, okay, if it's not too relevant. Alright, let's go.
In der Garage des Anwesens identifiziert von der Ehefrau, die sogleich die Polizei informierte. Alle äußeren Umstände deuten auf einen Selbstmord hin.
Fräulein?
Ritter, Charlotte Ritter.
Bitte, Fräulein Ritter, den Damen gilt der Vortritt.
Erläutern Sie die 5 Schritte des Todesermittlungsverfahrens Methode Gennert.
1. Ich verschaffe mir einen ersten allgemeinen Überblick über den Tatort.
Hier.
Okay. So here we have the lamp. Oh, a lamp. It's not the lamp that fell, obviously, because it's still up there. On this wooden contraption, which in itself isn't too weird. It's just that it is like even the railing or the balustrade, whatever. It's even above that a little. In a very compromising position. Okay. I mean that is just the statics of it, okay? And then you also have the dangling metal wire. This is a safety wire, okay, because it has this eye at the end of the safety wire. A lamp like this, a luminaire, tips, okay? I will now use the word luminaire because I don't want to call it spotlight because it's not really a spot, it's a Fresnel. But yeah, for simplicity's sake, I will just say lamp or luminaire. And yeah, if it falls, if it tips forward, you have this metal wire. It is of course not nice. Okay, it is not perfect to have a metal wire and the lamp hanging onto it, but it would be even worse. It is even worse when the lamp falls and hits someone, like the actress we've seen earlier. So yeah, I don't know if back then in the 1920s they actually had a requirement for these. I don't know if they had them in film studios or theaters back then. I find it odd that they are showing you these, however. Okay, you can see this. Okay, maybe they will show it to you again. You can see this, and it tells the audience that yeah, we kind of had those, but they're not using them. They're not using the safety. That's what's so weird about it, about the contraption itself. I wouldn't do it, not like this, because the leg is so narrow that the top heavy lamp is bound to topple. Yes, there are screws holding it together, but the screws alone, I wouldn't trust that, to be honest. I wouldn't do it. I would maybe if I had these safety wires, but even then I would kind of know that if things go bad, then you have a lamp just dangling in the air. Much better. What we actually do is we have clamps, and the clamps attached to pipes, to the trusses, to the balustrade even. The balustrade can sometimes also be round, like a pipe. But whatever. I doubt they would have had the safety wires just dangling. They wouldn't have them at all then, or they would have been attached.
Genau da. Nicht anfassen, bitte.
Yeah, see this? Here, they show you the safety wires in detail. What is wrapped around these? It looks like there's something wrapped around them. I could imagine maybe there was some kind of marking, whatever, too modern, and they want to hide it. Then you might as well just remove the safety wires, I guess. Okay, yeah, let's continue.
Zwei, Die Mitarbeiter suchen nach Beweismitteln und Spuren.
Kann es denn passiert sein?
Die Lampe ist gekippt und die Schraubköpfe hat's rausgerissen.
Wo ist das Kabel, das zum Scheinwerfer gehört?
Cable. If he means the mains cable, I mean the mains cable would not have held the lamp. The mains cable just supplies the lamp luminaire with electricity, okay, with the necessary power, but it does not have mechanical strength to hold that kind of lamp. I mean, we saw the lamp, we saw one of the lamps. Yeah, seems a little odd, but maybe he wanted to know whether this was tampered with as well. Maybe, I mean, you'd have to sever the cord to make the lamp easily fall down. Otherwise, it would topple and then dangle a little and then tear off the mains cable a little. And in that time, people might have noticed. And yeah, maybe okay, makes sense, I guess.
Na hier,
Nicht anfassen.
das ist ein ganz schöner Kavenzmann, so eine 10 kW.
Okay, 10 kilowatts. Wait, let's go back a little. Okay, here's the lamp. I focused so much on the safety wire that I didn't actually look at the lamp. Now, the assistant or the person with the peaky head said it's a 10 kilowatts lamp. To me, it looks like, yeah, it could be, but it could also be just 5 kilowatts. Why? Because first of all, this looks like, based on the shape, it looks a bit like an ARRI made lamp. ARRI is the company, ARRI. They produce lamps like these and others, but they are very famous, or they are well known in my field of work for these kinds of Fresnels. That shape, you know, this short-ish tube-like casing with the rectangular box on the bottom, so to speak. That is, yeah, very typical ARRI Fresnel lamps. And yeah, the shape. You have the holder, the contraption for the gates, the doors. Yeah, this could be a 1950s kind of ARRI, if you ask me. I mean, this takes place in 1929, so it's older, but it could be one from the 50s or 60s even, and then just repainted so you don't see the color scheme, because at least the modern ARRIs have a blue and grayish silver color scheme. Okay, first of all, it is odd. Okay, the first thing that is definitely right is, for modern standards, okay, I don't know the coloring, the markings, diameters used back then. Okay, again, almost a century ago. But the PE, the protected earth, the one that in case there is some current on a component that shouldn't have electricity running through. In that case, this protected earth, okay, my cursor is on it, the one that is green yellow. This cable, this wire would redirect this faulty current. Okay, that's, at least from modern point of view, it's right. What is weird is that you have 3 other wires. 3 wires is weird to me because in alternating current, the AC of AC/DC, the Nikola Tesla current, you have the active phase, and you have the passive or the responding or the neutral phase, the return. What that means is you have one way the current there and one way out. It's normal. It's just to keep the flow going. And but here you have 2 blue ones, which are marked blue because this is the neutral, the return, you know, the passive one. And then the cold one, sometimes call them cold ones. And then you have the red or brown. In this case, I guess it's more brown. Yeah, it's brown, but it can also be red in some cases. The brown one, which is the hot one, the active phase. It is weird that you have one against two. It's weird that you have this. There are some cables where you have more than 3 wires. Okay, you have, for example, you have the 5-point CEEs used in Germany and also in Europe. They have 3 active phases, 1 return, okay, and 1 ground. And yeah, I used this one. Yeah, if you watched Inglourious Bastards, yeah, it's true. We do it like this with the thumb, and not like this weird one. Whatever. The point is, yeah, 5 makes sense in some devices. 3 makes sense in many devices. Here you have 4, and even weirder. Okay, the weirdest of all is the fact that the brown one and one of the blue ones seem to be merged, which completely defeats the purpose of having this and the return. Okay, every cable, every wire is physically the same. Even if you give it different colorings, even if you give it different names or whatever, physically speaking, they're all the same. Mechanically speaking, they are the same. But the purpose is what matters. And if, in theory, if on the other end of the cable, the same blue one and the brown one are also merged, in that case, it would kind of make sense, but it doesn't really anyway, because you still have the uneven amount of copper mass for one, and then the very thin blue one. This is why it's odd. Maybe it's just the angle, optical illusion. Maybe they are not fused together. But if they are, it's weird. Maybe there's an electrician who can maybe even justify it somehow. Maybe it was a thing back then, but nowadays you wouldn't see it like that. No. Oh yeah, by the way, this is Neptune from the future. I've also noticed that the wires from the mains cable, they seem to have soldering on them, which in some cases can make sense, but not if you go 10 kilowatts. If you solder the ends of these wires, if you do that, what happens is the heat caused by the power, because you have to always keep in mind that 10 kilowatts lamp, the majority of what these kilowatts contain is actually heat. Okay, the soldering will melt away, so it makes no sense to have the ends of these wires soldered if you're using them on a 10 kilowatts lamp.
Das ist ein ganz schöner Kavenzmann, so eine 10 kW.
Chef, sollen wir loslegen?
Die Dekoration auf Spuren absuchen. Methode Gennert.
Jawohl.
Handschuhe.
Ja.
Sehr gut, die Handschuhe.
Jedes Detail wird gekennzeichnet.
Okay, now that I see this, the case, the body of the lamp, the luminaire, I'm not sure if it's an ARRI. Probably still is, but maybe it's a different manufacturer that just has a very similar approach to lamps, because Fresnel in general is there are many manufacturers who use similar things. I mean, even at work, when I was a logistician for film rental, we even had the Chinese copy of an ARRI lamp. Maybe they just use a different lamp for this one, and the one we saw earlier, still attached to the balustrade or whatever, was an actual ARRI. Maybe that's possible. What else? Yeah. So I was a logistician. I worked for a film rental. I worked for stage event rental as well, and before that for a theater. So I can say that the ARRI lamps are so common that it wouldn't be a surprise to me if they just used an old ARRI lamp and just repurposed it for 1929.
Mit diesen Schrauben war der Scheinwerfer befestigt.
Völlig intakt.
Und 3?
Notice that the screws, they look more like the kind of screws that I would use for fixing things to the ground. In theater, you use these kind of screws to make sure certain parts of the scenery stay in place, but you don't use them for lamps. You screw them into the ground. Okay. Yeah.
Der Tatort wird fotografiert. 4. Die Zeugen werden vernommen.
Mein Mann war die ganze Nacht bei mir.
Moment, Frau Klopsch. Erst die Frage, dann die Antwort.
Wie heißen Sie?
Tilly Brooks.
Wo kommen Sie denn her?
Boston?
Boston.
Können wir das etwas genauer ausführen?
Er hat nichts gesehen. Ich habe in die andere Richtung.
Was ist mit dem Ehemann? Tristan Roth.
Tristan.
Ich habe ja nicht gesehen. Ich war ja oben auf dem Seil gewesen.
Ich war ja auch nur auf dem Seil gewesen. It's a typical Berlin way of speaking. Also the gewesen at the end of the sentence, even though it is not necessary, it doesn't really serve a grammatical bonus or whatever. It's just the way lots of Berliners speak. I just wanted to comment on this because I just love the fact that they it is set in Berlin, and they make an effort to make at least the people, the surroundings, the atmosphere, all of that authentic. I like that.
Nun der zuständige Mann fürs Licht.
Peter Glaser, der Oberbeleuchter.
Und wo ist der?
Der hat nur den Aufbau überwacht. Aber
They have a lighting technician, Oberbeleuchter even, so it's not just some random assistant, but the head lighting technician.
Schichtwechsel und er ist mit den anderen weg.
Ja gut, das war's von unserer Seite.
Herr Bellmann?
Fünfter und letzter Schritt, Abtransport der Leiche und im Präsidium dann die Auswertung der Laborergebnisse.
Sehr gut, Frau Mütter. Vielen Dank. So, weiter.
Herr Kommissar!
Okay.
Wir bräuchten noch Ihre Unterschrift. Es ist ein Unfall war. Bitte.
Die bekommen Sie, wenn wir alles ausgewertet haben.
Okay, yeah, that's basically the end of the 5 steps, almost. The producer insisting on a signature that it was just an accident. Weird, especially now that we know that certain things just don't make sense. Oh yeah, now that I think of it, maybe the safety wire was not attached, the metal wire, the safety, the rope, you could say, the metal rope, was not attached to the lamp on purpose, but of course the commissar, the detectives, they don't know the purpose of this safety wire. Maybe that's why they just ignored it, but they still had it shown for you, the audience, to see. So here we are. That was my analysis, my review, my feedback for this particular scene, for this crime scene. From a writing perspective, I think it was great. It was well done. From a technical point of view, yeah, there were a few things which I personally think you could have done better. But at the same time, I think overall, okay, it's just a show. The focus of the show is crime, drama, political chaos, turmoil, that kind of stuff. Lamp, how it was attached or not, okay, whatever. It's just a small detail, and it's just me who sees these things. You know, I go to venues, and the first thing I see is not not necessarily the stage itself, the people standing there, whatever, but the stuff hanging. I go to a concert and I see the lamps, and I just watch the lamps, and then I realize, oh yeah, wait, there's I don't know, whatever. Anyway, let me know what you think of my video, my feedback, my review, and give me your feedback and your review or whatever. And yeah, thank you for watching and have a nice day.